Listen carefully. If you have a green card, you can still be pulled aside at a U.S. airport today, even if you've lived here for 20 years, even if you did nothing wrong. And most seniors don't find out about this airport stop rule until they're already stuck in a back room called secondary inspection. Tap like if this helps protect your family. I'm going to explain what CBP can do to green card holders at the airport, what they can ask you, what mistakes seniors make that quietly trigger extra screening, and what you should do before you fly so you don't get blindsided. And please, comment below what city and state you live in. Also comment which airport you travel through most. JFK, LAX, Chicago O'Hare, Atlanta, Dallas, Miami, and tell us if you've ever had a delay, a long interview, or even a driving license suspension tied to paperwork problems. Your comments help other seniors. Now here's the part nobody says out loud. U.S. airports are not like regular customer service. When you land in the United States from another country, you are legally at a port of entry. That means Customs and Border Protection, CBP, has authority under U.S. immigration law to inspect people, ask questions, and verify status before allowing entry. Yes, even if you're a lawful permanent resident. According to USCIS guidance, international travel is allowed for green card holders, but you still must present proper documents and be admissible when you return. That's why a green card is not a magic pass that guarantees you'll walk straight through every time. You can confirm this yourself on USCIS resources about international travel as a permanent resident. Source. So what is this airport stop rule everyone misses? It's not one single sentence printed on your green card. It's the reality that CBP can stop a returning green card holder for more questions or send them to secondary inspection when something about the trip, the documents, or the person's record triggers a review. And trigger does not always mean you're guilty. Sometimes it means a computer system flagged something old, confusing, or incomplete. Most people don't realize this. CBP systems can pull up very old immigration history, old applications, old addresses, old entries and exits, even things you forgot you ever filed. If your travel pattern suddenly changes in retirement, more long trips, more time overseas, those patterns can trigger questions, even if you feel you're just visiting family. Let's talk about the number one reason seniors get stopped. Long trips. Many retirees take longer trips because they finally have time. 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, sometimes close to a year because someone back home is sick, or you're handling family property, or you're just enjoying retirement. But a long absence can raise the question, did you keep the United States as your real home, or did you abandon residency? USCIS openly explains that maintaining permanent resident status depends on your intent and your ties. Things like how long you plan to be gone, the reason for the trip, and other factors. You can confirm this on USCIS guidance about maintaining permanent residence. Source. Here's the senior mistake. People think, my green card is valid, so I'm fine. But the officer is looking at a bigger picture. And another thing most people don't realize, you can be gone less than 1 year and still get heavy questioning if your pattern looks like you live overseas most of the time and only visit the US for a few weeks to keep the card alive. That pattern can invite deeper review. Now, what can CBP officers legally ask? They can ask questions to verify your identity, your status, and whether you are admissible. That includes questions about where you live, how long you were gone, why you traveled, what you do for work, or if you're retired, where your home is, and what you're bringing back. They can also ask to see your documents, and they can run database checks. If you're referred to secondary inspection, CBP can take more time to verify information without slowing down the main line. This is described in DHS-related resources that explain secondary inspection as a process to do additional checks. Source now. Let's get very practical. If you are a senior green card holder, the most common innocent reasons you get pulled aside include you've been traveling for long periods, your green card is expired or close to expiring, you're using an old passport number that doesn't match the booking, your name spelling is different across documents, you've had an old arrest, even if it was dismissed and you forgot it existed, you have an old immigration record mismatch, like a wrong date of birth on a past form. You had a prior overstay before getting your green card, and the system still shows notes. And yes, sometimes it's random, but don't bet your retirement trip on random. Tap like if you want more videos that keep seniors from getting trapped in airport problems. Now let's hit the big one: expired documents. Many seniors don't realize they can walk around the US with an expired green card and still be a permanent resident, but traveling is different. Airlines may not board you easily, and when you return, CBP can take a closer look because your documentation is messy. Also, document rules for returning residents are real. CBP itself explains that lawful permanent residents must present a permanent resident card, Form I-551, or certain other documents, and you can confirm these document expectations on CBP Help Resources. Source now. Let's talk about the place everyone fears: secondary inspection. What actually happens back there? First, don't panic. Secondary inspection is not automatically an arrest. It often means the officer needs time to verify something: travel history, identity, old records, or whether you have the right documents. But secondary is serious because it's where pressure happens. You may be seated for a long time. They may take your passport and green card while they run checks. They may ask more detailed questions, sometimes the same questions multiple times. They may ask about your address, your spouse, your family, your job history, and how you support yourself. And for seniors, this is where confusion can hurt you, because if you're tired after a long flight, or hard of hearing, or nervous, you may answer inconsistently without meaning to. Most people don't realize this. Inconsistency is a trigger, not guilt, just inconsistency. If one answer doesn't match what's in a record, the officer may dig deeper. Now listen carefully to this next part. CBP may present certain forms in secondary inspection. One of the most serious is Form I-407, which is a record of abandonment of lawful permanent resident status. CBP even explains on their own help site that if a person gives up permanent residence, they complete and sign Form I-407. That's how formal abandonment happens. Source. So here's the senior safe rule. Do not sign anything you do not understand. Do not sign anything just because you're tired. Do not sign anything because you feel embarrassed holding up the line. If you're presented a form and you're unsure, you can calmly say, "I'm not comfortable signing anything right now. I want to understand my options." This is real life. This is not drama. This is how people accidentally give up rights they didn't mean to give up. Now, another hidden risk seniors forget: taxes. This one surprises a lot of green card holders. If you have a green card, the IRS generally treats you as a U.S. tax resident. That means you may have U.S. tax filing responsibilities, including reporting worldwide income in many situations. The IRS explains responsibilities for new immigrants and makes clear that U.S. tax residents generally report worldwide income. You can confirm this yourself on IRS resources. Source. Why am I bringing up taxes in an airport video? Because missed tax filings can come back to hurt you in immigration situations, especially later if you apply for naturalization, petition family, or are questioned about whether you truly lived in the United States. According to USCIS policy guidance on good moral character issues, failure to file required tax returns can be a serious problem in immigration benefits decisions. Source. And most people don't realize retirement doesn't automatically mean no taxes. Some seniors have overseas pensions, rental income back home, or bank accounts abroad. If you ignore tax filing, it can create a paper trail problem. Not because CBP is doing your taxes at the airport, but because the government's systems and benefit reviews can connect issues over time. Now let's talk about the airport stop rule in a way you can use. When you come back to the US, CBP is deciding, do you get admitted today? For green card holders, you generally have strong rights to return, but CBP can still inspect, question, and in some cases start processes if they believe you may have abandoned residency or you have an issue that makes you removable. And seniors are especially vulnerable because retirement travel patterns change. So here are common senior travel mistakes that quietly raise flags. Mistake number 1: taking repeated long trips and keeping weak ties to the US example. You live in the US on paper, but you spend 8 months abroad, then 2 months here, then 7 months abroad again. That can look like you moved away. Mistake number two, not carrying simple proof of US ties. I'm not saying carry a suitcase of paperwork, but it helps to have easy proof ready, especially if you've been gone a while. A copy of your lease or mortgage statement, utility bill, state ID, proof of Medicare coverage, proof you live with family, or a doctor appointment schedule. Mistake number three, not understanding the one-year document issue. If you stay outside the US too long, you may need a re-entry permit or even a returning resident visa, depending on your situation. The U.S. Department of State explains returning resident visas for permanent residents who stayed outside too long. Confirm it yourself on State Department resources. Source mistake number four, letting the green card expire right before travel. Yes, you remain a permanent resident, but it complicates travel and identity checks. Mistake number five, forgetting old records. Most people don't realize an old immigration issue can resurface years later just because you triggered a deeper database check during secondary inspection. Old removal proceedings, old overstays, old entries on a different passport. These things can pop up and cause delays. Now let's get to something very important. What exactly triggers secondary inspection? Sometimes it's as simple as a name match. Sometimes it's travel pattern. Sometimes it's a hit in a system that needs human review. CBP itself acknowledges that some travelers are frequently stopped for questioning and inspection, and they even discuss that people can seek correction of erroneous information through DHS traveler redress processes. That tells you this is not rare and not always your fault. Source. So yes, if you keep getting pulled aside, it might be because of wrong information in the system, not because you did anything wrong. Most people don't realize this. Being polite and consistent is not just good manners, it's a strategy. CBP officers are trained to look for contradictions. Seniors often get nervous and start over-explaining. Over-explaining can create confusion. Now, what should seniors do before flying? I want you to think of this as a simple pre-flight protection plan. First, check your green card expiration date months before you travel. Second, review your travel history. If you've been taking long trips, consider whether you need to talk to a qualified immigration attorney before the next trip, especially if you've been outside close to 1 year, or you've done multiple long trips. Third, stabilize your U.S. ties on paper. Do you have a U.S. address you can clearly state? Do you have a U.S. doctor, pharmacy, insurance? Do you have a bank account activity? Do you file taxes when required? Do you keep a driver's license current? And speaking of that, comment below if you've ever had a driver's license suspension because of paperwork, missed renewal, or immigration status confusion. Seniors deal with this more than people realize, and your comment can help someone else. Fourth, keep your documents consistent. If your legal name changed, make sure your airline ticket matches your passport. If your green card has one version of your name and your passport has another spelling, that can trigger questions. Fifth, prepare for questions without fear. Practice answers in simple, honest sentences. Where do you live? I live in Phoenix, Arizona with my daughter. How long were you away? I was away for 4 months visiting family. Why were you away so long? My sister had surgery and I helped her recover. Do you work? I'm retired. I receive Social Security and a pension. Simple, clear, consistent. Now let's talk about what to do if you are sent to secondary inspection. Step 1. Stay calm and respectful. Getting angry doesn't speed anything up. Step 2. Don't guess. If you don't know an exact date, say, I'm not sure of the exact date, but approximately. Step 3. Don't sign forms you don't understand, especially anything that sounds like you're giving up your status. Step 4. If CBP keeps you a long time, remember, delays happen. But you can ask calmly, Officer, is there anything you need from me to resolve this? And here's another, most people don't realize moment. Secondary inspection can sometimes end with deferred inspection. Deferred inspection means you are allowed to continue, but you must show up later at a CBP deferred inspection site with documents. CBP lists deferred inspection sites and explains that travelers may be given an order to appear for deferred inspection with instructions on what documents are needed. You can confirm this yourself on CBP resources. Source. So if that happens, don't ignore it. Seniors sometimes think, oh, it's fine, I'm home now. No, if you miss that appointment, you can create a much bigger problem. Now, I also need to say this clearly because some people spread the wrong rumor online. A green card holder is not the same as a U.S. citizen at the border. Naturalized citizens generally cannot be denied entry, but they can still be questioned and delayed. Green card holders have strong rights too, but CBP has more room to question admissibility issues, abandonment concerns, and past records. So if you're watching and you're a naturalized citizen, don't click away because your spouse, your brother, your neighbor, your church friend may still be a green card holder. Share this video with them. Now let's talk about the seniors most at risk. If any of these sound like you, take this seriously. You've been outside the US for many months at a time. You live part-time overseas. You don't file taxes because you think retirement means no filing. You have a very old arrest or court record. You had immigration problems before your green card. You have an expired green card and you keep postponing renewal. You have a pending immigration case or you're sponsoring family. You may still travel, but travel smart. And if this video is helping, subscribe for weekly updates for seniors and immigrants. I focus on real-life protection steps, not panic. Let me also address a common senior question. If I'm stopped, can they look at my phone? At ports of entry, border search authority is broader than inside the US. That's why it's wise to keep travel-related information organized and avoid carrying confusing documents or messages that could be misinterpreted. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm saying avoid headaches. Now, one more hidden issue that causes seniors trouble: confusion about old overstays. Most people don't realize, even if you fixed your status years ago, old overstay history or visa history can still be in the system and may trigger questions, especially if an officer sees a pattern that doesn't match your current story. That's why your best protection is consistency, honesty, and preparation. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below. What state and city do you live in? What airport do you usually fly through? JFK, Newark, LAX, SFO, Chicago O'Hare, Houston, Atlanta, Miami? Have you ever been sent to secondary inspection? And if you have, how long did they keep you? Your experience can help a senior who's flying next week. Let's close with the most important takeaway. They never told green card holders this airport stop rule exists because nobody puts it in big letters. But the rule is real. When you return from international travel, CBP can stop you, question you, and send you to secondary inspection to verify your status and admissibility, even if you've done nothing wrong. Secondary inspection is often just verification, but it can become serious if you have long trips, weak US ties, expired documents, or old records that resurface. This is explained across official DHS, CBP, and USCIS resources, and I always encourage you to confirm this information yourself on those official websites. Source. So here's your action plan today. Before you fly, check your green card, check your travel pattern, keep your US ties clear, and don't walk into the airport unprepared. Tap like if this helps protect your family. Subscribe for the next urgent update because rules and enforcement patterns change, and seniors deserve clear, simple explanations. And share this video with one other senior immigrant, just one person, because this is exactly the kind of problem that hits people when they least expect it. Now comment below your airport and your experience.